The Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, has died at the age of 76. Franklin died Thursday due to advanced pancreatic cancer of the neuroendocrine type. According to the singer's family, she passed away in her Detroit home, surrounded by family and friends. So we've lost another music legend, and it would be difficult for me just to, this has happened so much since I first got here. It seemed like we lost a string of great singers and musicians. I remember Prince died shortly after I got here, and then just before that, it was David Bowie, and then Tom Petty, and Leonard Cohen, all these other greats. So, but I wanted to comment on this because it's certainly newsworthy, and it makes me think of her earlier career. And the fact that, along with reading the Bible, I've become more interested in gospel music and this early stuff. And going through and seeing how much she recorded for a church makes me really want to get into that and to learn more of the blues sound. I don't know if you tuned in earlier, but I have figured out how to play all the blues scales on the guitar now. So I really want to get into blues music. And I think this would be a great starting point to look at the Queen of Soul and these other greats that have passed on recently. So anyway, it's kind of sad news to wake up to, but 76 was it's a ripe old age, I guess, and she certainly made a contribution. So many people, we go through our lives, and you think of how unlikely it is that we're all here, and what a rare opportunity it is to be in this world, but how much of that gets squandered. Like, you hear about that awful stand your ground case in Florida recently where a guy got shot over a parking space. You think of, the millennia and, millions of years, everything that had to go right, how unlikely it is that any of us are here on this world. And it being the 17th of August, tomorrow is the 18th, making it 8/18/18, it reminds me of that 1 over infinity, right? Like, it's so unlikely that any of us are here that in itself is kind of a miracle. That in itself, I would say, kind of proves God. And music, like Franklin's music, that moving sound that brings us closer to all of that, to that eternity. And that's something wonderful to be remembered for. And if 100 years from now, or even 50 years from my death, or wherever that is, like if people still hear my voice, I think that'll be kind of an accomplishment. Now we are all having a taste of that, kind of a foretaste of eternity and the life here and now. 1 over infinity, that unlikely that any of us are here, that unlikely that any of us are blessed with such talent. And link to this article from consequenceofsound.net. It's a very interesting, comprehensive look at her life and career. And it's also interesting to note that her father was a preacher, and listening to his voice, and certainly that's true. There have been many preachers that I've heard, especially there have been many black preachers where they just completely move the audience, just filled with the Spirit. And so, sad news. Over and out.